Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, and hello from Cambridge Bay. We're here on board the Canada C3 Icebreaker. My name is Jeff Green. I'm the founder and the expedition leader for this epic journey on board this ship, going all the way around Canada's coastline. It's a 150-day journey from coast to coast to coast. We started in Toronto on the 1st of June. We're just over halfway around our country here in Nunavut, right in the middle of the Northwest Passage. And at the end of October, we're going to be arriving to Victoria. It's a journey to celebrate Canada, to learn about Canada, and to showcase Canada, its past, its present, its future. And part of that is the notion that Canada really is an ocean nation. We have the largest coastline of any country in the world, 3 oceans. We're blessed with freshwater, seawater, and it's a huge part of who we are and a huge part of our future. And for that reason, by the way, I hope you're all following Canada C3. We need you. But we're really proud to have the Fisheye Project here on board with us for leg number 10, going from Cambridge Bay to Kugluktuk, because we're seeing a lot of what's above the surface of the water. Yeah. But you guys are helping us to really see and learn about what's below. So welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, it's great. We want to showcase so many great things about our country, and what your project is really inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to Cambridge Bay, Nunavut. We are live for a very special event that we're going to take you on this underwater journey. We're also going to take you on a cultural journey where we're going to be learning a little bit about the Cambridge Bay community. So very excited to be here, especially streaming live in a place where it's hard enough to send an email online. So we are live on the Canada C3 page. Hello. Just to give everybody a little bit of the ABCs of how to do live and interactive, in the comments section below, please say your name, your location, and then your question. And we're going to do our absolute best to have our dive team respond to you. And if we don't get to you, it's okay. We have a group of people online. We have marine ecologists, scientists, and experts across the country. They're going to be there to provide you more information. So we're very excited to be able to be here again, like I said. And I would like to introduce you a little bit to our amazing team. So we have Mia Otokiak and her grandmother, Eva. And we would just want to give them a little bit of a moment to welcome us here to Cambridge Bay.
Hello, my name is Mia Mafa Odocher. My name Mafa comes from my Nana's mum, and in our culture, name passing is very important. So this is my Nana Eva.
Hello, I'm Kakulang Abaluk, Mia's Nana. Welcome to Cambridge Bay. It's a pleasant place to meet everyone from all over, wherever, and it's always a pleasure to see what's ahead to come. Thank you.
Kwana. All right, I would also like to now introduce our dive team. So we have Dr. Philippe Enchambeau, just on the side here. He's from Laval University. We also have Philippe Daigle. He was our dive specialist and underwater naturalist for the last couple days. So I'm going to give these guys a bit of a moment to introduce themselves.
My name is Philippe Archambault. I'm from Laval University. I'm a professor in marine ecology.
And I'm Philippe Daigle, and I teach biology in the Leon and Gru College. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, guys. I just also want to give a quick shout out to all of our partners that have helped us pull this off. It takes quite a bit to pull off an event like this. Ocean Networks Canada, they have been a huge support in getting us up towards the Arctic, as well as providing us lots of data and information for the marine science and the marine ecology here. Vancouver Aquarium, Ocean Wise as well. Polar Knowledge Canada and their CHARS research station here in Cambridge Bay has been incredible at supplying us with all the equipment that we needed to protect us from the elements, as well as transportation to and from the site. So I also want to give a major thank you to Canada C3. As we're on the back of their vessel right now, we had a bit of weather that has knocked out the power, and we ended up having to do a bit of a change in location as well as a few other logistics, but we are still going to be able to provide you a live show here today, and thank you very much to Canada C3 for that. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys that awesome opportunity. Why don't you take us on this underwater show?
You're ready? So everybody, if you're ready, just hold your breath. We'll bring you under the surface of this beautiful Arctic Ocean.
Notice that if you have any question, it's hashtag Canada C3.
So here we are underwater. So we'll try to make you feel as much as possible as a fish underwater. So just hear the breathing of the divers now, getting ready to dive deeper and deeper.
So here the green color, it's done by the a tiny cell called phytoplankton, algae cell, and they are the base of the food web, really important. So you can hear the divers breathe. So you're lucky if you can ask a longer question today, because if we were directly underwater, the diver cannot hear your question. You need to have really, really short question. So now you're really lucky you can ask longer question. So we have a question, what is the temperature of the water? Can I swim and survive in it? It's from Estelle.
That's a really good question, Estelle. In fact, the water temperature now is around 6 degrees Celsius. So it's not that cold, but we need really good gear like dry suits and gloves and things like that. But it's not that cold, because my glove was leaking, and I wasn't even frozen. So maybe it's due to the climate change. I don't know.
So let's go back to our dive.
Oh, that's a nice encounter. I didn't expect to see that. It's the first time I see that kind of fish. It looks like maybe a tropical fish. It's so bright with the yellowish colors.
It's called the banded gunnel, and it's really a special fish because it's a fish that can got some protein, antifreeze protein, so it can survive in really cold water. And another really interesting fact, that's the only gunnel we can find in the polar ecosystem.
Yeah, so the ocean is so cold, you see there's even snow underwater.
No, Phil, it's not snow. It's called marine snow, but they are food particle settling down to the seafloor, and this is why the seafloor look like so brownish or beige.
So as we're going down, you see that the pressure is getting high, and I need to equalize my eardrums. So I push some air inside my inner ear, and to feel comfortable before we're going deeper.
So during the time Phil is going down, maybe we can take another question. So is the diving suit different from what you will see in the Caribbean? From Jan from London, Ontario.
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit different. As I said, we use dry suits instead of wet suits, so we stay dry. We can be dressed almost like this in winter clothes, and so we stay dry and we stay warm under this really cold water. Otherwise, if I jump off the just like that in the water, I could survive only a few minutes before I die. Yep.
Oh, Phil, here you were showing me something really interesting animal. It's called a sea squirt. It's like a tunicate, and it's really a close relative to vertebrate. It's really a really close relative to vertebrate, and it's feeding through what we see in the water, all these marine snow you mentioned. So we see all these colored, all these pinkish color, and I love when you call that your bubblegum color, bubblegum algae. But this algae that you've seen before, it's a encrusting algae. It's a beautiful one here. So really, really important algae. And with climate change, we see that these algae are spreading on rocks. But since there's less ice in the Arctic, we see more erected algae growing more and more north. So we can already see some change. So maybe we can go for a question. What kind of vegetation is down there? C3 participant Sally. Thanks, Sally, for this question. Like I just mentioned, we have some encrusting algae, these red algae, and we also have more and more erected species because there's less ice eroding these species on the seafloor. So let's go back to the, I hope it's answering your question, Sally. So here we can see a sea urchin with all these little arms and his spine. This urchin is eating what is the algae on rock. He's really grazing them. Okay, Phil?
Oh, I love those kind of extraterrestrial encounter. It's amazing to look at those jelly animals going around.
It's called cum jelly, and it's not on the screen anymore. But these animals got some little cilia. Then they move them from the top to their mouth. So I receive a question, maybe. How deep?
How deep will you dive? Cheryl from Deep Cove, Vancouver. In fact, in that dive, we dive down to 53 feet. So yeah, that's the average. That's the deepest point we reach in this dive, 53 feet.
Oh well, that's again this cum jelly, and we see some color on the side. There's plenty here in the ocean. So as you can see, there's a lot of life down there. It's not. We should suspect it's a harsh, cold ecosystem, but there's plenty. So I just want to attract your attention to the wall, and there's not the same species of animal living on a vertical wall than on a horizontal wall, because if you're on a horizontal wall, so that means everything the marine snow will fall on you. So if you're on a vertical wall, there will be different species living there. So this ecosystem is really unique. So we have another question. Can you feel the temperature change as you surface from Deb?
Yeah,
Phil?
for sure we can feel it. When we are underwater, we're comfortable, but still it's cold. So getting out of the waters, oftenly it's colder because we dive here in the winter also. So oftenly it's more comfortable underwater with our dry suits.
Yeah, and you don't have the wind too. Yeah,
exactly.
I know that. So let's go back on the dive. Thank you. So how, like I was mentioning, you see all the animals are on the vertical wall, and there's less on horizontal wall. Like I mentioned, you have all these settlement. Oh, you have a nice anemone there, white, and all the tube you can see. These brownish tube are tube anemone.
Another ctenophore.
Yeah, here, look at this one. You can see the ciliate from the top down to the mouth, and you can see all the ciliate are flapping one to each other, and the animal totally at the end move a little bit to bring more food in his mouth. That's an amazing shot then done by Mario Cyr, our cameraman on the water, and you can see them pretty well now.
Yeah, it's difficult to believe that those small animals are predator.
Yes, they are predator of the ocean, eating what is there, this marine snow, like you like to call it.
Oh, and can you see the cod? There's a cod over there.
Yeah, there's a cod. So maybe we can go for another question. So who is fishing? Who is filming the diver? Brian from Toronto.
That's a good question. In fact, it's Mario Cyr. Mario Cyr is from Les Yeux de la Mer. He's a famous diver. He dove around the world, and he's right now probably the best underwater cameraman in the Arctic. Yeah.
Yeah, Mario Cyr.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah, we have a jellyfish here, a sort of jellyfish, the art jellyfish, and we see all these long tentacles. This is how this animal catch its food. Each tentacle got thousands of little cells called. Oh wow! There's also a cum jelly at the same time. So I was mentioning that all these tentacles got cells called nematocysts. It's like a little spine. When you touch them, they send a small venom, and the animals start to be slower, so it's easier for the animal or the jelly to catch his food.
Oh, and that's amazing. I've seen brittle stars in other places, but fast like that, I've never seen that. It's like they seem like they jump everywhere.
Yeah, it's a sort of echinoderms, sort of sea star, I will say. And just a small anecdote, or it's not an anecdote, it's a fact. This winter I was in Antarctica, and one of these brittle star catch a fish. It's probably have some venom, and we thought it was an anecdote, but on the dive, we seen plenty of this behavior. So a brittle star catching fish.
Unbelievable. So there's another question. Are there corals in the Arctic? Michael from Kelowna.
Yeah, I can answer this question. There's some coral. We call it deep sea coral. All these coral are usually at the depth of 400 meter and more, so we cannot see them. These kind of coral with our diving gear. We need a remotely operated vehicle, ROV. So remember this word. I will talk about that a little bit later. So we need these, but there's some coral in the Arctic, but not the same one as you can see in the tropic. Maybe we can take another question during we're moving to a...
How can people ask questions?
Yeah, you just need to hashtag Canada C3, and there's some expert around Canada and different university in Canada try to answer your question, and also with Philip we'll try to answer them as best as we can. So look the bottom, there's a lot of topography, and this topography will bring more species. Where a smooth surface, there's always more species when it's not a smooth surface. Okay, we have a question here. Will a night dive be different from Cheryl?
Cheryl, that's a really good question, and I hope you can have a night dive someday, because night dives are amazing, really, because there's a phenomenon here in all oceans in the world that's called bioluminescence. Small animals are making light. So you just move in the water and all your body become light. You move the water like that and it goes like fireballs. It's unbelievable. It's called bioluminescence. So you don't see it when you dive during the day. But if we were to dive at night, we would have seen that. Yeah. Oh, and there's another cod over there.
Oh, Phil, I prefer the animal on the left. It's called barnacle. You see it's a little calm getting out and feeding on the what is passing. So it's an active filter feeder, we call that.
The small animals there on the left.
On the left, yeah, exactly,
okay,
on the left.
Yeah, and okay, the barnacles there. And correct me, Phil, if I'm right, but I heard that barnacles are the animal in the animal kingdom with the biggest penis.
Come on, it's not the biggest penis of the animal, relative to his size, okay? Be careful. You need to say relative to his size. And it's funny because this little barnacles, it's like a crustacean, a small shrimp, and he's living on his head and feed with his feet. Really, really funny. So there's a lot of amazing stuff down here. So we can have another question. What makes up the base of the food web in the Arctic? Rachel. So Rachel, I mentioned there's the green water. It's full of what we call phytoplankton, little tiny algal cell. So that's part of what is there when there's no ice. But there's something really particular here in the Arctic. It's during winter, there's an ice shelf. And when there's a ice shelf, under the ice, you will see some greenish, some what we call ice algae growing. And even if we're in the middle of the winter with less ice and a ice cover, there's plenty of life down there. And one of the big difference, if this ice disappear, ice algae will also or may be disappearing too. Which are the basic of the food web for the Arctic.
So do we have another question? That was a really good question, Rachel.
So we have an anemone here and a few around. So you see all these animals. There's a lot of predator. If in an ecosystem you see a lot of predator, that means there's quite a lot of food too. Because like Rachel just asked the question, you have the basic of the food web are phytoplankton, ice algae. So we can see some wave here. It's a really nice shot from Marius here. From the surface, you see the wave. But imagine in the middle of the winter, it's ice covered. So there's no wave at all, and there's these ice algae growing under. So we have a question. Do you like being underwater? Albie 8 years old from the l'Outaouais.
Oh, Albie, for my part, I love it. I just love being on the water. It's incredible, the feeling to be like an astronaut underwater. It's like unbelievable. You really float in the water. You see amazing things that usually people never see. And yeah, it's really another world. I really wish you can feel that someday. And I wish everybody that.
Do you feel like an astronaut?
Yeah, totally.
An underwater astronaut?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can take another. Oh,
Can we take another question?
yes, please, another question. We have another cum jelly. There's, as I mentioned it, you will see a lot here. So for Philippe, this is your first Arctic dive. How does it feel, Julie?
Haha,
You ask which Philippe? I will let
Yeah.
you go.
Me or
Yeah,
you?
you.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, for sure. It's my first Arctic dive. In fact, it's my first time here in the Arctic, and it's unbelievable. I cannot believe in fact that I'm here. It's quite far from home, and it's a privilege to be here and dive in this water. It's really clear. It depends on the day, but the first day I dove here. It was crystal clear water and beautiful animals down there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I interrupt myself because I see on the image that we were showing cages. So we have to never forget, even if I'm overwhelmed with all those animals down there, we as diver, we always have to remember that humans are usually not allowed underwater, under the surface. So we have to pay attention to our gauges to be sure that there is plenty of air, so we're safe down there.
During the time then you were explaining about safety, we see a really beautiful shot here with species on the water are not only big animals, there's plenty and plenty of small animals living down here. So it's a... Oh, Phil, I'll let you talk about that.
That's quite a sad encounter. It's a crab entangled in a fishing line. You can see the line entangling the crab, and he's probably there for since a few days because he seems like he's really weak now. So I'll try to take off the fishing line. Might be difficult, but I'll try. And remember that this fishing line is made of plastic, and all the plastic that you might throw in the ocean, remember that it will become a trap for some animals someday. And yeah, it stays there for quite a long time.
Yeah, we can see this kind of fishing line or even big nets when they're fishing, it's called. And when they fall in the water and we're not removing them, we call that ghost fishing. But we have some solution now. A lot of, I would say, fishing gear like lobster pot or crab pot are made one side of the crab pot or the lobster pot are made with biodegradable material. So even if we lose some of our material, it will biodegrade, so it will not ghost fishing these animals.
Oh, that's excellent, because we have really have to find solutions for that plastic in the ocean. That was a good example. So now this crab is free again. So hope you will find a meal for today, and let's pray that he will survive.
Yeah, we can go for a question during to see the crab getting back. Any unexpected species found? Margaret from Calgary.
Cool.
You were underwater, so maybe you can talk about in your case, that was the first species you seen like that.
Oh yeah, well, there was a really unexpected species. Like we saw a banded gunnel. Well, it was my first time to see this, and the banded gunnel, it's an Arctic fish. So you have to come here to see it. And so I was really glad to encounter that fish right here in the bay. Yep. The banded gunnel.
So here's Philippe was trying to point out something to Mario, the underwater cameraman.
Oh, can you see it?
It's difficult. It's really some camouflage, some species. This fish is called a sculpin. Can you see that on the web? If you can see it, just press like. Come on. Yeah, so it's a perfect camouflage. It's a really, it's a nice predator. Here, I think the people of the area call it the devilfish. Yeah, because on the back there's some really, you can see the spine. The spine are really, really spiky. They can even go through the glove of the divers. And sometimes one of these spine can even get some venom. It's not a dangerous one for us, but it's not fun to be receive some venom from this fish.
While
but
diving, I've seen this fish changing color from rocks to rocks. If the fish is on a pink rock, it will become pink, and on a brown rock, it will become brown. It's
like a chameleon?
Yeah, kind of a chameleon.
Okay.
The underwater chameleon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So we have a question. What is the visibility?
Yeah, right now the visibility underwater is more or less 40 feet, so it's quite good. It's quite a good visibility, and it stops by the plankton. There's a lot of plankton in the water, so that's the reason why the visibility is not as good as in the tropics. But because there is life, there's plenty of life, and this life will feed all the animals that we see on the bottom of the sea.
Well, Phil, you were quite excited with this shot when you were there. I remember. I just want to bring to the people then what you see there. There's nothing really large, but you can see there's a lot of animal. It's almost a salad because in French and English sometimes we use some word like to describe an animal like potato. We say in French peach, the peach animal. So we're using plenty of really funny name to describe this sea life there. But on this shot here. And I count them earlier, and there was at least 20 different species on less than a meter square, and all these really beautiful yellow sponges. It's a wonderful area here. It's surprising. A lot of people believe it's cold. There's less species, but so far every year our laboratory and some other around the world find new species in the Canadian Arctic. I remind you that in the Canadian Arctic, it's 10% of the coastline of the world. That's amazing. So many underwater area to explore. So we have a question. Is it too cold for lobster? Tree Museum Mud of the Museum of Nature, Ottawa. Definitely the water is really too cold for lobster here. The lobster, I will say the northern part of the lobster, at least for the east coast of Canada, it's around the northern tip of Newfoundland. And it was the island of Anticosti before, but with climate change we can see more and more migration to the north of the lobster. But here it's too cold. Sorry for that.
Oh wow, that's a beautiful sea star.
I think we call it the rose star in English. And you can see, since the beginning, everything is brownish on the seafloor because of this marine snow. But these species of echinoderms are really special because on their back...
They stay clean.
Yeah, they stay clean. Why they stay clean? Because they have plenty of little tweezers on their back. You cannot see them with your home eyes, but with a microscope, these tweezers destroy every particle getting on their back. They don't want to carry something on their back. So, and because they are not moving a lot. So all these little tweezers are called pedicellar, and they're just crushing all the material falling on their back.
Oh, what else do we see? I think we see a red northern anemone. Oh, wow. But you don't see it quite red because the light was shut down when Mario was filming. But and the reason why you don't see it red is because the light is absorbed as you go deep. So the reds and the yellow, and in the same order than a rainbow, you will lose every color. The color that will go deeper is the blue. So that's the main reason why oceans are blue in general.
So we have a question. Can you tell us more about the Fisheye project, Michael from Kelowna? I will let you talk about that.
Well, the Fisheye project is mainly, the goal is to show the world how beautiful is the ocean. And the way we manage to do it is to bring people with us underwater and make them do a dive, feel like a diver underwater, and meet all those animals that are underwater. So that's the main goal of the Fisheye project.
An excellent goal, because I remind you, the planet, it's 71% ocean. Still a lot to discover on our planet.
Yeah, so I think that we are near the end of this dive. going up to the surface because there is no more air in the tanks. So we had the privilege to dive, but it has to have an end. So it's right now. Hope you had as much fun as we did doing those dives. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much, Philippe, for this beautiful dive, and thank you to Mario Cyr, the underwater cameraman. Good. So just to bring a little more introduction, so we dove here in Cambridge Bay, one area. Philippe mentioned, and they dove down to 43 feet, 53 feet, sorry. But the Canadian Arctic can go down to more than 3,000 meters. And this summer, with a team using a remotely operated vehicle, they dove offshore of Pound Inlet and down to 800 meters using a ROV on the icebreaker. Then you can find on your $50 Canadian dollar, the Amundsen, this research vessel. And now we're showing you just some species that the team found during this ArcticNet Sentinel-Nord cruise and Fisheries and Ocean Canada cruise on the Amundsen. So you see, even down to 800 meters, you can see there's plenty of marine life, anemones. There's a basket sea star. So this area, it's beautiful, even if it's really deep. And I remind you, Canadian Arctic, it's 10% of the coastline of the world. That's amazing to know that. So as you can see, then we've seen some divers going in one spot of the ocean around 53 feet. We can use some different piece of equipment, but like our ROV, but these equipment are only at a few hours or even less than that for divers at one area. So if you want to a little bit more understand climate change or predict these climate change, there's some new technology. And in Canada, there's a network called Ocean Network Canada. It is installed just close to here on the southern dock of Cambridge Bay. They installed what they call the Cable Observatory. So in other words, a cable observatory, it's some equipment measuring biological and environmental data in real time. So, and you can see that on your computer, and also that's help to manage what is going to happen. It's like, I will say, a weather station, but an underwater water station. So I'm not going to talk more about Ocean Network Canada and this observatory, but I will let the Mia talk about it. She was the youth science ambassador for Ocean Network Canada. So it's up to you now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Philippe Enchambeau and Philippe Daigle, for being a part of this experience and giving us that amazing tour of the Arctic marine life here in Cambridge Bay. So Mia, you were actually mentioning a little bit about how Cambridge Bay has seen some of Ocean Networks Canada's instruments here up north. So could you tell us a little bit more about when they first came to the community?
Yeah, so Ocean Networks Canada actually came here to Cambridge Bay for the first time in 2012. And they installed their observatory that had a whole bunch of different instruments. And one of the instruments was an ice profiler. And that ice profiler measured ice thickness and also when it would melt, and averagely over the years. And all of that data was live 24/7 every day, and it is all available on their website. And so I was their first Arctic Youth Science Ambassador hired, and I did a lot of community and student engagement. And another thing that I did with Ocean Networks Canada was snow measurements, and I did that every day.
Mm-hmm. And actually, right now, it is starting to snow.
And yeah, so I did a lot of community engagement. I did some interviews with some elders about climate change.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I think we were talking a little bit about this yesterday. Is you're mentioning that there's been a lot of melting of the permafrost, and also, like, has there been a lot of changes actually in the last few years that you've recognized, or is it just kind of staying the same?
Well, even in the last 3 years, there has been a lot of change in the weather, and with the warmer weather, it has caused the melting of permafrost, and that is hugely affecting our community because all the permafrost melting is causing huge cracks in the earth, all around Cambridge Bay, and we have routes all around Cambridge Bay that go to our hunting places or our camping places. And with the permafrost melting and causing all of these cracks in the ocean, it is making it, 3 times harder to get out to where we want to get out to.
Okay. Wow, that's incredible. And actually, I'm so glad that you've been able to even take me on a little tour around the Cambridge Bay community, where we were able to go out near some of the rivers and areas, actually where your Nana has one of her old homes.
Yeah, her cabin. Yeah.
So can we, I guess, what are other effects that you've seen with this type of change on the culture? Has there been any impacts in the community?
Well, one of the things, so we, in our culture, we always listen to our elders, and we value their knowledge. And their knowledge about the weather has been very hard to follow lately, or even in the last few years, because, in the middle of July was when the ice would melt, and we would get snow at the beginning of September. But even this year, the ice started to melt at the very beginning of June. And then even last year, we got snow on this day, actually, and we had a huge storm, and then winter stayed. But 2 days ago, it was plus 18. So there's been a huge climate change that everyone in our community has noticed.
Yeah, actually, I can definitely attest to the t-shirts and shorts. And then the hard change to, all right, we're in full winter gear. Well, so what can we do then? So we have some of the research that's being taken place here. What is that going to mean for long term for the community?
Well, so like I mentioned earlier, Ocean Networks Canada has installed an observatory. And with all of that data being live and 24/7, and also, like I said, it was installed in 2012. So all of that data has been available the last 5 years. And with all of that data being so handy, it's actually helping our community by showing us the weather patterns and the new weather patterns that are coming with climate change.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you guys so much. If I can, I'm going to ask all of the team, all the divers, and Eva, would you like to just give a last little goodbye for us? We'll just have Eva join us for 1 second here. We're just going to do a closing. We want to say thank you to everybody online and all of our partners, especially Ocean Networks Canada, Wise Vancouver Aquarium, Polar Knowledge Canada, and their CHARS research station up here. Again, they have been absolutely phenomenal, as well as Van Aqua for supplying us some of the diving equipment and surveys for the area, and the Canada C3 vessel. So we're going to take this moment to say goodbye, and thank you guys all so much. Thank you from our dive team actually over here. We've got Philippe Dag. We have Mario Sear, who is our underwater cameraman, world-renowned for shooting in the Arctic and Antarctic. We also have Dr. Philippe Enchambeau. Give us a good wave, Phil. Woo! All right. Well, thank you guys so much. So, would you like to say goodbye in the traditional time?
Yeah, so I'm just going to get my Nana here to say thank you and goodbye in Inuna.
Ilanilo, Kwanakawe.
Thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Till next time.